What is up, you guys? How's it going, guys? We're back with another one, guys. Look, so Bryan Kohberger, which is the murderer of the four Moscow, Idaho students. I guess there's news that actually he's been talking to BTK, getting insight information from him, getting into his mind about how to get away with being a murderer. Guys, is it okay for people to go actually visit these people in prison or even talk to them, even if they go into college for this stuff like criminology, sociology, all that stuff? We know that Bryan Kohberger actually went on to put something online, a study basically asking uh, felons if it's okay for them to come forward to talk to Bryan Kohberger and him asking weird questions about how to get away with murder and all this other stuff that Bryan Kohberger's actually already did. So my question to this is, can it get any weirder than what it's already gotten, guys? It probably can. I'm waiting actually to hear Bryan Kohberger speak for himself. I'm actually waiting for some of the stuff to come forward about actually how this all took place, guys. Because if you want to paint this a picture, there is no picture to be painted. What we see is what we think, basically, in this case right now, guys. So our imaginations is there are weapons at this point. Anyways, without further ado, guys, love yourself, like yourself, be nothing but yourself. Like and subscribe to the channel, it's highly appreciated. Without further ado, let's jump right into the video.
And here with some perspective on these exclusive interviews is Tracy Walder, former CIA officer and FBI special agent. Tracy, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you for having me, Natasha.
And we just heard Bryan Enton asking BTK's daughter about this interesting potential connection, the likelihood that Kohberger may have reached out directly to BTK in prison. How common is it for killers to study past killers? And how likely would it be to try to communicate with a convicted killer?
Well, that was just an heartbreaking interview to watch. I think it's highly likely that killers studied the work of past killers. I mean, really, Kohberger is the case study for this. I mean, he studied the entirety of the criminal mind. And so I don't think he was just only focused on BTK. I'm sure he looked at other serial killers as well. However, given the close relationship that he had in terms of taking classes with Dr. Ramsland, he very well could have had the opportunity to reach out to BTK. But my best guess, my best hypothesis is that it was probably through Dr. Ramsland that he would have done that. She would have facilitated that, given the relationship that she has with BTK.
And meanwhile, we also heard those comments from the suspect's classmates at WSU. Does anything strike you about how they described his demeanor after the events of November?
So it's interesting. I've been reading a lot about what folks have said about him. And the one consistent thing, though, has been that he's very, very bright, exceptionally so. And what I find interesting about that is that really speaks to his arrogance and the fact that I do feel he was very prepared for this. And he really felt that he could get away with this by really studying how to commit really this perfect kill. I think the other thing that does strike me is the change in behavior that's really something that's incredibly telling. We look for witnesses at the FBI that really can speak to that, because that's essential when a case goes to trial. We want that witness testimony. And so the fact that he wasn't necessarily agitated, but the fact that he seemed very amped up is actually interesting to me, which
Guys, I'm gonna pause this for a second, guys. If you look at this guy right now, look into his eyes. There is absolutely no sorry in this man's eyes at all. This man is actually, you're basically just staring into a blank mind of somebody who committed the crime that he committed. Now, guys, all this stuff in this video is actually speculations, except what the news station is actually saying. So, guys, take it as you want it, but I believe 100% Bryan Kohberger is the killer. He had too much stuff on the social media. He contacted too many people, asked them too many weird questions, and actually, he was very smart about it because he said it was for his study. So that was very smart on his point. That's where talking to other serial killers came into play at that point, trying to give him mind sights of how to actually get away with this stuff. And it actually almost happened. What was it, 49 days? Crazy, guys. Anyways, let's jump right back to the video.
which in a way indicates that he almost got sort of a thrill or a release from this murder that he allegedly committed. So I found those two things to be the most interesting.
And as we were speaking about just yesterday, officials saying that this is a new arm of the investigation now, the focus turning to motive. In your experience, how does one now go about piecing together a motive for this suspect? And is this the moment that the overkill of one particular victim that we were speaking about before comes into play?
I absolutely think that that is the moment where this comes into play. Is that the person that he had originally made his target? I do believe that he selected one of them to be sort of his target. And I absolutely think that that is where this comes into play, coupled with that digital forensics of evidence that they got from his apartment in Pullman, Washington. I think that's going to be very critical. People leave that online digital trail, and a lot of times that really, really helps investigators in terms of looking at motive. It's really one of the most important things. I do think some witness testimony here is going to be important, but for all intents and purposes, it sounds to me like he kept to himself a lot and didn't have sort of those deep relationships. So I really do think that digital evidence and digital forensics is really what's going to help sort of flesh out that motive, particularly now that they have those warrants to search his apartment.
So they did take his computer. We did hear that, guys. So that's what she's talking about. Is going through a computer, wiping this hard drive, doing studies, basically foot tracks, footprints, whatever else you want to call it, guys. No telling what they could actually do with that computer. So if there's anything there, they will find that, no matter what it is, guys. And then you go on to how he got away with all this stuff, guys. So he went in by himself and killed 4 people, brutally stabbing them. Where's the blood at? And then they go on to say that they think he put on a biohazard suit. Now, this is all speculation, guys. He put on a biohazard suit. He put on booties. And some even goes further to say that he actually took a shower at the victims' houses, guys. Then again, guys, this is all speculations. So this is not by me. This is actually by other reporters and other newscasts, guys. So it is getting weird out there. But, guys, I'm interested to see how he got out, where he went. Where actually did he go? Was there 2 people? Was there a getaway driver? Guys, so yes, it's weird. And it gets even weirder because he had to have some kind of suit on because there's no blood leading out this house at all. That's what they said. They brought in a black box for 7 hours and come out with absolutely nothing, guys. But they said they collected 119 pieces of evidence. Where's it at? Did you find DNA? Which I actually heard they did find DNA, so hopefully it comes back with a match, guys. And there's actually news stations out there saying that he was already arrested as well for the brutally stabbings of the Moscow, Idaho students, the 4 Moscow, Idaho students, guys. So no telling what you're going to believe, guys. Never settle for just one. Go actually look at multiple news stations, guys. Anyways, let's jump right back to the video.
I do want to circle back to something you were just saying, which is that consistently we're seeing in reports and from people who know him that he's incredibly intelligent. And for someone who has studied this line, not just undergrad but master's and now working towards his PhD, is it strange? Does it strike you as odd that this was such a messy kill, and obviously innocent until proven guilty? But for this suspect, if he did commit this, that it did use a knife, that it was such close contact, that there was so much blood, that we were seeing blood dripping out of the exterior wall of that house. Does that sort of kill strike you as strange for someone who has studied how people do this and how people get away with this?
Natasha, that's an excellent question. And I think that he's working towards his PhD, as you mentioned, and I actually think this was a challenge that he wanted. I think this speaks to his arrogance. I think this speaks to his ego. I think he came prepared. I think, again, I'm just hypothesizing, he probably had a Tyvek suit on. He probably had, his hair in some kind of netting. He probably had on booties. He probably thought that he could do one of the most violent and evidence-riddled types of crimes and perhaps get away with this. I think he enjoyed the challenge of this. Again, I'm just hypothesizing, but that's what I think he wanted.
All right, Tracy Wilder, always appreciate you coming on. Always appreciate your time. Thank you. Thank you for.
There you guys have it, guys. Look, former FBI agent Kohberger likely studied past serial killer BTK, guys. It's crazy. Should we actually be able to get a hold of them people? Should we actually be able to go ask them questions, guys? I don't believe so. I don't think they should actually be in the limelight. And we're putting too many killers, too many mass murders in the limelight of being superstars, guys. That's just my opinion. But I'm gonna get out of here, guys. Go check out the channel. There's a lot more of that come from, guys. But your boy Deuces is out. Thank you, guys.